Hey everyone, I'm Armin Gaming, welcome back to my channel and welcome to Monster Legends. Welcome to a monster analysis on the latest monster from the Metal Myst maze, Glamhead. Hopefully this video can help you figure out whether or not this monster is worth going for, considering the limited edition pathway is going to be out tomorrow. It is really important that you figure out whether or not you want to go for this monster. So with that being said, let's jump right into the analysis. Metal Band, the ensemble formed by Metalisha, Keythor, and Metalhead, went into hiatus after all the members were involved in a stage fight that ended up with them burning down the venue where they were supposed to play. Years passed and Keythor tried everything to bring Metalisha and Metalhead closer, but they were irreconcilable. As he was closer to Metalisha, Keythor tried to lift her spirits with a present, a guitar-shaped amber pendant. When she opened it, she told him the only thing she wanted was to jump off the stage and crowd surf again. She wanted Metal Band back, but without her arch enemy, Metalhead. So then, Keythor was trying to console her when the pendant he'd given her twitched and released a substance, which turned into a monster. And not any monster, it was a guitar player. His name was Glamhead, and the minute he started playing, it was clear Metalhead was officially out of the band. And so that is how Glamhead came to be. This is the monster that is replacing the OG guitar player, the OG rock monster, Metalhead. So, funny thing is that Metalhead is actually a magic monster, so he's the brand new magic mythic monster, and with that said, let's jump right into the stats. This monster has a life stat of 48,256, and this is actually the lowest life stat, tied with that of Nightingale. So Nightingale is a squishy monster, she's an attacker. Glamhead is actually a denier, but yeah, one of the lowest life stats for mythic monster, actually yeah, the lowest, tied with Nightingale. In terms of power, it's also rather low, it's the third lowest stat in the game. In terms of mythic monsters, of course, the only two monsters, there's quite a few monsters that actually have this power stat, Miseris, Morg, Zorki, Svart, Kradlik, and Abysmus, as well as Van Decken, and the only two monsters that have a lower power stat are Asta, which has 5192, as well as Moonhaze, which has 5104. So this monster is not tanky whatsoever, he's very squishy, and he is also not strong, he has a low power stat. And as for his speed stat, it's actually tied with that of Gaidigo. It's right around the middle, he's not too fast and he's not too slow. But yeah, his stats aren't impressive, right? I mean, lowest life stat, pretty low power, and an okay speed, tied again with Gaidigo. With that being said, he does have possession immunity at rank 0, so even if you only get this monster unranked, at least you know you can be possessed. So you don't need to worry about Van Decken, you don't need to worry about any mythic monster in the future that gets released that can do possession. And at rank 1, if you can get this monster to rank 1, it becomes even better because you actually get a torture immunity. How cool is that? Torture immunity, I think moving forward with these mythic monsters that tend to be tanky, is one of the best things you can put on a monster, because the only way to take down a mythic monster with torture immunity is to, one, trait disable them and then apply torture, or to just beat them down with brute force, because you can't apply your sunburn, you can't apply your ignite, your quicksand, you can't even apply a nanovirus or a shock. Or actually, I'm not sure about shock, I think you can't apply shock. So yeah, torture immunity, it is the way to go. And at rank 3 you get blind immunity. So yes, it's helpful, but it's also not necessarily needed. So I will say that if you can't get this monster at rank 3, don't worry about it. Rank 0, rank 1, that's pretty much all you need, and he's super usable. In terms of relics, this monster can hold the Mask Relic and the Staff Relic. And I mean, those are just pretty much good relics to have. The Mask Relic, you can get away with so much, with healing, with stamina draining, with stamina recovery. Same with the Staff, you can drain enemy stamina, you can recover your own stamina. If you happen to have, for example, is it Jastar's Mask or Eostron's Mask and Pumpseed's Staff? Oh my gosh, you're good to go. You can like drain 100% of enemy stamina. I think it's with Jastar's Mask and Pumpseed's Staff, you'd be able to do that. But yeah, with that said, Bugs, he's in Winged, Superheroes, Underworld, and of course he's a birthday monster. And so, those are his traits and his relics. I gotta say the relics are pretty good, because he is on the squishy end. I would have preferred if he could have held an essence, like a revival essence. That would have been super useful on this squishy monster, but I think that's fine, considering, again, if you have the right relics, you can synergize and then really take advantage. With that said, let's take a look at his basic attacks. The first one I see is Love the Way She Twitch. Deals low magic damage to one enemy, activates all cooldowns on one enemy and itself. Okay, so you have a spammable cooldown activation, and this is very interesting, because even though you do activate cooldowns against yourself, you could always spam the skill. It's usable, and it also deals 15 damage. So if you were ever hit with cooldown activation, this is not necessarily a bad skill to have, because you know you can always target an enemy monster and keep activating the cooldowns. Now, as I've said before with Gaidigo, the bad thing about cooldown activation is that it seems like every mythic monster has a pretty powerful attack. However, those attacks seem very powerful against legendary monsters. When it's mythic on mythic, then that attack doesn't become as powerful. Think of like Armor Claw's Remember to Subscribe, or Cawthor's 0 cooldown skill, or Cyberel's 0 cooldown skill. They are powerful against a legendary. You can potentially LTK, but once it's mythic on mythic, it becomes a lot better. So this is a skill you should really consider running. It might actually really come in handy. And actually, look, we have another 0 cooldown skill. His eyes are as red as the sun, applies curse to all enemies. This does cost 25 stamina, but you could apply curse. Now, you would never want to spam the skill over and over and over again because reapplying curse resets curse. Curse is that torture effect that basically on turn 1, it'll drain 10% of enemy stamina and 10% of enemy HP. On turn 2, it doubles to 20% HP, 20% stamina, and on turn 3, it doubles again to 40% of stamina and 40% of HP. So it's pretty cool that you have this skill. So if you ever do find yourself in a situation where the enemy is way faster than you and you know can activate your cooldowns, this is a good monster to bring because you have skills you can use even when you get hit with cooldown activation. Moving on to tier 1, we have Tonight I Want to Give It All to You. Deals moderate magic damage to one enemy, applies curse to one enemy monster, another 0 cooldown skill, 22 stamina cost, and this one's better because it actually deals some magic damage while applying curse. Very interesting. I think you could even make the argument, yes, he's not that powerful, he has a low power stat, but in the right situation, there is an argument for even making him run strength. I guess it'd be in that situation where the enemy can activate your cooldowns, you give him a strength and you know he can hit with 40 damage and apply curse. Most of the time, you're probably not going to be doing that because that would require your monster to be ranked up and everything, but it is a possibility, especially for the players that do manage to get this monster like fully ranked. Are you ready? Keithor restores all cooldowns of one ally, and unfortunately, this has a 2-turn cooldown. This would have been cool if it had a 0-turn cooldown, so you know even if your team got hit with cooldown activation, you could activate it, but a 2-turn cooldown, there's definitely ways to synergize this, right? If one of your strongest monsters does their strongest skill and the cooldown is active, are you ready, Keithor, on that monster and they can use their best skill again? I don't think this is really a skill you'd be running that often. Oh, Black Betty, we're on tier 2. Deals low magic damage to one enemy, activates all cooldown on one enemy monster. So single target cooldown activation is pretty straightforward. A way to Blockbuster. Deals moderate magic damage, applies curse. We have an AoE curse on a 1-turn cooldown. That is pretty cool, 30 damage. And 21 stamina cost. Moving on, Ballroom Blitz. We actually have an extra turn skill. Applies possession to an enemy, deactivates all cooldowns, and applies curse to one enemy. Oh, very interesting. Gives 1 extra turn to itself. So this monster has a possession skill, and not only do you possess the enemy monster, you deactivate its cooldown. So even if that enemy monster used its best attack already, you give it a cooldown reset so they could potentially attack themselves with their best attack, and you give yourself an extra turn. So this is pretty darn interesting. The final skill we have is Rock and Roll, which applies curse to one enemy, activates cooldowns on all enemies. So single target curse, but AoE cooldown activation. I gotta say, this monster is way better than Gaidigo. Yes, Gaidigo can do what? Total damage reduction? But I would take this monster that can do AoE cooldown activation, single possession extra turn, and then you have single cooldown if you need to. Wow, I like this monster a lot. He's actually really good. So, if you find yourself in a situation where you're facing enemy monsters that can't be possessed, let's say Cawthor, right? Well, then you have access to cooldown activation and you have access to possess. So, let's say you're facing like a dodge area monster and 2 non-dodge area monsters. You possess the dodge area monster because it's a single target, and you also curse that monster, and then you AoE curse, then you AoE cooldown, and you also curse another monster. So, in 1 turn, you can curse 2 enemy monsters, activate 2 cooldowns, or activate all 3 cooldowns. This is pretty cool. Even if the enemy monster, let's say it's Armor Claw, if you fight Armor Claw on 2 other mythics, even though Armor Claw has taunts, you can possess that Armor Claw and still activate cooldowns on everyone because of your Rock and Roll. I like this monster a lot. He's pretty good. I would say, for those of you that were upset that Gaidigo was behind a paywall, the only way to get him was in the Golden Legends Pass, you have yourselves a new cooldown activation monster. Yes, he doesn't have a high power stat. Yes, he doesn't have a high life stat, one of the lowest in the games, the lowest in the game for mythic monsters, but he is as fast as Gaidigo. So here you have it. I would say I like this monster. As a cooldown activation mythic monster, I definitely like him a lot. I like him a lot more than Gaidigo. Glamhead is a magic controller with cooldown activation skills he can also possess. Yeah, he's awesome. Glamhead played guitar, removes positive effects from enemies, applies mega possession. His ultimate is also good. If the enemy had any positive effects, evasion, what be it, skill mirror, you remove the positive effect, then you mega possess, 2-turn possession. Fantastic ultimate. But yeah, I'm a big fan of the skill set. When it's mythic versus mythic, he definitely shines. This is the type of monster you give him 3 speed runes, you have him go first, you have him possess who you need to possess, and you have him cooldown activate whoever you need to cooldown activate. Now, in an era against legendary monsters, right, if there is a Megataunt monster, then unfortunately this monster can't do anything. if you do face a Megaton monster, it is better for this monster to go maybe last in the turn order, second to last. So then you would run this monster as a team speed holder. You have another mythic monster go first, maybe do AoE whatever, kill the mythic monster, or sorry, kill the Megaton monster, and then have Glamhead go and do his possession cooldown activation. I do like that he has a single target as well as the AoE, and I do like that he has that possession, and I also like that he has an extra turn skill. That's so nice. So what would I run? Rock and Roll, Ballroom Blitz, a way to Blockbuster. The one thing I will say about all of his skills applying Curse, you are going to be resetting Curse, but I don't think that's that bad of a thing when you're activating cooldowns all the time. So again, I would do Rock and Roll, Ballroom Blitz, I would do Oh Black Betty, and then that last and final skill, it's ultimately up to you. If you want to have Love the Way She Twists, you could, but looking at the low cooldowns on the other skills and having access to an extra turn skill, you may not need to. Probably the AoE Curse. You could also do Tonight I Want to Give It All to You, the 0 cooldown Curse skill. So there's a lot of nifty ways to run him. In terms of running him as an attacker, again, you potentially could in certain situations, but most of the times you don't need to. If you can give this monster like a Jester's Mask and a Pump Seed Staff, then, and if there's no Megaton monster, you could do a way to Blockbuster, curse everyone, and drain their stamina with your mask and your staff. So your Pump Seed Staff, so only if you have access to that. So lots of nifty ways to run this monster. I gotta say, he's really good. If you were having any doubts about getting him in the maze, 100% I recommend getting this monster in the maze. But with that being said, that is it for my analysis on Glamhead. Now I want to know from all of you guys, what do you guys think about this monster? Let me know in the comments below. Best of luck to all of you, and remember to subscribe.